Hey guys! Ahoy! Welcome!
Yo. Mm.
Hmm.
Hey, you get your finger really close to the camera. It's
Hmm.
really kind of weird looking, right?
Hmm.
I can cover my eye with it. I can squish my own head.
Wow.
Oh wait, I can't.
Ouch. Ooh. Oh, ow. Ah, Joe, you okay? That looked painful.
Dude, hey, you know what? It's all good.
You've been squished by worse.
I've been squished by worse.
You've paid more. You've paid more to get squished by worse.
I
Uh,
have,
what?
man, yes, that's true.
um,
I've been squished by worse for more expensive.
yeah, there you go. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, a show where we try not to squish you, and we try to get you out of squishy scenarios that are not nice squishy, but bad squishy. Because there are nice squishy,
Mm.
like Squishmallows. Oh wow, mine is wearing a robe on his face.
Hey, space robe.
Face
Space
robe.
robe.
Don't take a nap in the middle of this stream, silly
Ah,
girl.
come on.
All right.
Come on,
Um,
Waddles'
yeah.
girlfriend.
Who knows what's going on there? I'm not. I'm not a Squishmallow owl, so I don't know relationships and how they work.
Yeah.
Or their mating. I don't know. I don't know their mating call or anything. So
Well, they sit on each other's heads, apparently. That's kind of how it goes, right?
is that?
Look at.
Yeah, moving on. Um, um, don't welcome.
You're the
Don't
one
worry.
who arranged the owls that way, man, not me. I'm just pointing
You
out the
guys
obvious.
stop. You guys stop doing that. You guys can stop. This is a kid friendly show. Um,
What?
I don't know. I'm just trying to do what's right.
You gotta do
Guys,
the
Little
robe
ears should
faced
be
head
propped up,
sit,
though.
like.
hmm? Oh, ears.
The little gray guy. There you go.
He likes when I pat him right in the face. There.
There we go.
There we go. Cute. All right. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about the issues. In life isn't always, easy. Sometimes it's quite hard. Sometimes it's very hard. Sometimes we get stuck with certain things and we just don't know what to do. Or even if we do know what to do, we're just still stuck in it. And we need something a little, something to carry us through. And that's what we're here to do. Basically, to take up that yoke beside you, to take up that that difficulty, and walk with you a couple steps, and help you carry on your way, as friends do. We aren't professional psychologists or psychiatrists, but we can attempt to give you our best. And while we can't solve most of your issues, we can hope to encourage you along your way. A lot of times you guys already know what to do, but that encouragement does help a lot. And just talking about it, getting it out into the open sometimes, this kind of stuff can really charge us. And sometimes we learn new perspectives, or we come to appreciate different things that we didn't before because we're able to talk about them. So thank you for allowing us to be to be that kind of help for you. To those of you who've submitted a topic, if you want to submit a topic, please send one to don'tworrywednesday.com. As simple as that. It's the name of the show. Just don'tworrywednesday.com. Don't try to put an apostrophe in.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's simple, but not.
It's simple, but don't try to get crazy. Don't use grammar. All right, just don'tworrywednesday.com. No grammar.
No grammar.
No grammar.
Punctuation, grammar, whatever it
right.
is. Yeah, that thing.
Although the period remains.
Yes, make sure you do the dot in the .com. Or you can click the link in the chat.
I would love if someone just legitimately thought that was a period. So they're like, you go to Don't Worry Wednesday, period, com. No grammar, no spacing, just spell out the sentence, and then you put a period, and then you put com after it. It's okay, they don't
That's
know
how they
that.
would explain it in,
Yeah.
like, maybe years past or something.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
also in the description below for those that might watch it later or as it flies out of the chat
Mm-hmm.
eventually.
Right. So, perfect. So, welcome. Thanks for being here, guys. I see so many of you. This is awesome.
Mhm. Yes.
Welcome. Are you guys excited for today's show? Are you excited to get into the heavy topics?
Heavy.
Heavy? I hope
It's gonna be heavy.
Sometimes
Oh boy.
it's nice.
You
How are you
wanna
guys
jump into the
doing?
heavy topic first, huh?
Oh, you want to? Well, I don't know about
Is
that.
that what you're
I
insinuating
didn't say
here?
that.
You
Or
know, hey,
We whatever comes.
you
We
just
got it.
send us whatever you're gonna send us,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll be happy to talk about it.
You can be heavy
All
worthy.
bets are off. It is the day before Thanksgiving. Those of
Mhm.
you that are here, oh, it's amazing to have you.
Mhm. Yeah, we're so lucky to have you
Because
guys. You guys are awesome.
mhm.
So how you guys doing? How you doing, Joe?
Oh man, you wouldn't even believe it.
You have. Okay, I guess you're probably right. I'm not that smart. I don't believe most things.
You don't believe most things that I
That's
say?
not that you say, just in
Oh,
general.
oh, oh. I
Like,
told you before, I don't usually confess lying at confession.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's usually not one of the things I
Yeah,
have to
so you
confess
proclaiming
to.
that I don't believe something is a true statement. It's
Maybe.
not a lie.
It's an inquis it's a question.
What? It's
Stated as a statement.
it's a question stated as
It's
a.
a question with a period at the end of the sentence.
It's a period question mark or just a
It's
period?
just a dot.
Okay. All right. Because I've seen people do the period question mark.
That's true. I've done that before.
Uh-huh.
Or dot 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 question mark.
Oh yeah, that one makes sense to me.
Mhm.
That's when you have a
Ghost,
statement and you're
ghost,
still not sure
ghost,
about it.
period, question mark.
That's the one I was thinking about with the period question mark. Thank you, princess. Ghost, ghost, ghost. Period question mark. Yeah, not pyramid question mark.
Pyramid question mark.
Pyramid question mark. Can someone please put a pyramid question mark in chat? That'd be great. Yeah. Doing tired as always. Ash, you're always doing tired. Is it late? You know what? It is. It is. It's late. This show runs late, and I'm sorry, guys.
It's always late.
It's always late,
And we're late.
We would do an earlier show if we could, but
Mhm.
you know, just can't.
Nope.
Oh, Honk did a pyramid question mark. Nice. It's a 2D pyramid,
And so
but
did
that
Riku.
works. Riku did it as well. Nice. In two
Yeah.
different styles.
Okay.
One's the red style, one's the white style. That's pretty
Uh-huh.
impressive, guys. Pretty impressive. Oh, it's not really late. It's only 5:43. It's not late at all. What are you doing being tired every day? Ash? Ash?
It's okay to be tired.
I know
Getting
it's
up
okay to be tired,
early,
but
A
I'm
lot
just
of
saying.
times I'm tired.
day.
I live my life kind of tired.
Yeah. What are you tired of? Red.
Dude, no, man.
Gosh.
We would be here for this whole show.
Yeah. You sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Dude, man. We're not
Dude,
gonna go there.
Yeah. All right, we won't go there.
But we do have
Instead, we're
topics.
gonna go to the topic. That's right.
Yeah,
That was a nice segue.
let's do that before Joe wrecks the show.
No.
We won't go there, but we will go to a topic. So
We can wreck the show in a topic
ooh,
instead of
Joe,
in the
you've
banter
never
before the
wrecked the
topic.
show, and I don't think you ever will.
Man,
You
don't
make
even.
this show a blessing.
I
Mhm.
make this show something
You make this show a
Something
blessing. Like
out of
seriously,
this
that's
world, man.
now that's
I'll
a
tell
true
you
statement.
what.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
right. Out of this world, supernatural. Yeah, absolutely. That's what a blessing. Yeah. What kind of blessings we're talking about. I love you, Joe.
I
So
love you
we've got
too.
our first topic.
You're awesome.
Yeah, you're awesome too. This one is from an anonymous. It's titled "She's Hiding Her Problems." I'm gonna go ahead and put that topic on the screen for you guys, and you can feel free to read along as soon as I get up there, and it is there. All right, Princess, all yours.
I've been dating a girl online for some time now, and she keeps not wanting to tell me or tell her problems with me. She has a lot. She's always saying things like, "Don't worry," or "I'll be fine," but I don't think she is. I don't know if I should force her to tell her problems to me. I also told her if she doesn't want to tell them to me, to tell them to others. But she just doesn't want to worry other people with her problems. So
Mm.
I don't really know what to do about it. I just don't want to sit there and do nothing, obviously. But also, she doesn't want me worrying about her. From Anonymous.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for this topic, Anonymous. That's a great
Mhm.
topic. This has got to be the first time we've gotten this topic, and I think this is great. But it's funny because this is the first time, but yet this is such an like a common thing, a common problem. Um, and so don't feel like you're in this boat alone and no one else is in it. This is pretty normal. From both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Um, I know that personally, I tend to not share problems with people, but if they ask, I will. I'm a very open book. But I tend not to be forward with them just because I really don't like to bother people. So I understand her point of view, but there comes a point where you gotta for sure, you know, let it out and share those things. I think there's a couple different perspectives you might be able to use to help her open up, because it's a lot easier to go through things when you have people working with you, and if you have yourself a relationship, especially one that's tending towards marriage, that's what when you're dating someone, the goal is to stretch it out until you're married, right? That's the higher level that you're reaching for on most
Kind of the
cases.
natural end of things.
Yeah. And so, when you get to that state, your problems are her problems are your problems. You know, if one person's having a problem, it kind of puts a little bit of a weight on the relationship, even if it's not a relationship problem, because now you have one person that's caught up in something. They can't be their full, free, happy selves. They're caught up in this little issue, and the other
Mhm.
person now suffers because of that.
Mhm.
But the other person can come in and bear that and be like, hey, look, I'm happy to suffer with you, but let me, so we can work on this together, because we're a team now. We work on things together. That's what we're here to do. That's why we're together, right? And that's a beautiful thing. So if by any chance, that's my first step forward in this, if by any chance you can put her in that direction, talk about those things, about um, kind of the end goal of a relationship and being open, and the beauty of that, um, rather than trying to maybe tell her, to like be a better person with her problem, like that she needs to get better at this. Spin it in a way that, hey, this is a beautiful thing, rather than trying to make her like say that you're not good enough or you're not doing it right, etc. Try to spin it into a way that it's like a beautiful thing if we could learn how to do this together. Um, and if you make it a learn how to do it togetherness activity, it puts you on the spot too. She doesn't feel alone in being not good at this area. Um,
Mm.
just some quick pointers and thoughts before Joe gives some great advice. So I'm gonna give it over to Joe, and you all will be impressed and pleased, and you just fall in love with Joe. So here you go.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
You're amazing. Um, so anonymous. So you say here you've been dating a girl online for some time. She keeps not wanting to tell her problems with me. And then in parentheses, you say she has a lot.
Mm.
And I'm wondering, how do you know? If she's not sharing anything, how do you know she has a lot of problems? I mean, all of us do, right? All of us have
Yeah, all of
problems.
us
All of
have a
us
lot
have
of
stuff we're
problems, I
dealing with,
guess.
right? Like, I mean,
That's
so
accurate.
so really, I mean, we can kind of assume, yes, that there are a lot of problems. And, maybe you're just picking up cues in your DMs, or you're talking or whatever, like you're just kind of picking up cues that there's something going on. And and in reading that, you're caring and being compassionate and asking, and I think that's awesome. Um, like, people got to share at their own pace. They really do. And that can be really hard to be patient, as you wait for people to open up and talk. I mean, it generally takes me a while, when I'm talking to someone and going, like we're getting to know each other or whatever, I mean, just as friends, it takes me a while to, warm up to opening up and showing, what might be going on. And I generally warn people.
Mm.
Like, I'm like, "You don't wanna go here." People ask, they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, "What's been happening, da 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 da," and they wanna know because they care, and it feels good when people care about you. But, like, I always, like, kinda give a warning, like, "This isn't a place you wanna go.
Mhm.
It's a big old mess in there, and you got to be careful, right? And so maybe there's some of that. Riku put in the chat. At least for me, it's because I was always told to grow up and don't be annoying. So at some point, I didn't tell him nothing anymore, and that could be the case. Like maybe there is something going on in her mind that she doesn't want to be an annoyance. She doesn't want to burden you. She doesn't want to share because she just doesn't want to have you shoulder these issues too. But I understand where you're coming from too, Anonymous, where when you care about somebody, you want to know. You want to know what's going on. You want to help. And that's that's a very loving and wonderful thing for you to do. And sometimes the most loving and wonderful thing you can do is to have some patience and maybe back off.
Mhm.
Depending on how aggressive. I don't know how aggressive you've been. I don't know how if you're poking at things or who knows. I don't know. But, sometimes that's the most loving and compassionate thing you can do is to just give them a little bit of space, have a little bit of patience, and understand, you know what? If you continue to be there, eventually she will open up and she will start to share. And I think Ryan said it great. Like if you're in a romantic relationship, this is something serious. Your problems will be shared with each other. You will share in each other's problems, and and it's a beautiful thing because then you can help each other with your problems, and that's great because then a lot of times two heads are better than one. You can get perspective, you can get great ideas. You can be helpful in ways that, maybe others can't. And that's awesome. But yeah, sometimes, it helps to just have a little bit of patience, continue to be there, and you can continue to express that you would love to hear, that you would like to, talk about some of this stuff. But also give her the space to be like, "Hey, you know what? You share when you're ready, and that'll be okay.
Hmm.
I don't want to push you, but I'm here. And I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to help and I would like to." So, depending on what the problems are, I don't know what they are. If she has a lot of problems and they're affecting the way she lives, you can always recommend a therapist. You said, if she doesn't want to tell them to me, to tell them to others. So, that's awesome that you would say that to say, hey, just whatever you do, don't keep this bottled up because that can be really damaging. It can be really damaging and it can cause damage that takes a long time to repair. And so you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing by caring. You're doing the right thing by asking, by being compassionate. And then also, it sounds to me that you're not being pushy and you're not trying to force her to share, but you're available. And I think that's wonderful. So really, I don't have a whole lot else besides that. I mean, having been on both sides of this perspective where I've been hesitant to share and where I've had other people that I've, asked and, seen if they want to share and they've been hesitant to share. And, I just try and give them the space and the room to do that. But I am so, so thankful that there have been a lot of people in my life that, even though they want to listen and they want to help, they've also given me the space and they've had the patience to say, I'm not going to pressure you to tell me, but I just want you to know that I'm here. And that is such a lovely, lovely thing to be told. And so, those of you who have done that for me, you know who you are, and I thank you. Um, and you guys are awesome. So, Anonymous, hopefully that's helpful for you. And I wish you the best. I know it can be really, really hard to have that patience. I know it can be so hard when you really want to know and you really want to help and you're kind of faced with a stone wall. Sometimes we have big, big walls and barriers built up around our hearts, and it takes time to let people in and see what's inside. And that can be really scary, but it can also be worth it, and it's worth the wait. I will say that as well. So, my best wishes to you, and if you have any further things you want to ask about in this type of situation, feel free to submit a topic, or you can DM me on Discord. Pleb6992 is my that's my Discord name, I guess. And yeah. But with that, I'm going to give it back to Ryan because he has helped a lot of people through a lot of stuff, and he is such a patient listener and an amazing, wise man. So I
Mm.
will turn it over to him. And if you thought I was good, just wait.
I'll
Keep your socks on, because man,
you thought I was gonna keep your socks on, because they're gonna get real wet listening to Ryan. You're gonna get sweaty feet. Tell you what,
sweaty feet, man.
I don't know. Honestly, Joe, I think you said a lot of great things, and on it, I would say go ahead and go back and listen to what Joe said, because, I don't know. I just think that you really covered it well.
Well, thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. The interesting thing, I guess one more thing we can say about this is where Joe started, and that is, sort of, you recognize that she has problems, and that's good, right? It's good, but try not to recognize that too much. There's a healthy recognition and there's a unhealthy recognition. I'm not saying you're either, and because I don't know your circumstance. I'm only saying this because there could be a problem, and I just don't want there to be. If that makes sense? And quite simply, when we see other people, especially someone that we love, right? That we're supposed to be, it'd be nice to love everybody, but like someone that we're supposed to be holding close in our life, right? Someone that we're supposed to, we're dating, right? Maybe even, there's a romance, right? There's this affection, but there's also this reliance on each other, and that's important. We don't want to intentionally notice what's wrong with them, and we do to some degree, but not to a big degree. We want to be able to help them, right? And so in that case, yeah, we want to notice those things. But here's the thing. It's not our job, and in fact, it would be the opposite of our job, to try to fix the person, right? It's not our job to look at the person and notice, okay, they're going through problems. It's my job to solve that for them, or my job to make them the kind of person that can get over it, right? Uniquely in a relationship, your job isn't to make the person fixed. And it's weird because it is our job to do our best to provide the best environment for that person, to help them grow to become the best version of themselves, right? That's true. But at the same time, you don't want to give the environment where you're focusing your relationship has a focus on their problems, right? You want a relationship that's blossoming, that's growing, and you want to be growing together in it. You want both people to be getting better and better and better through the relationship. Yes, but you don't want a relationship that's focused on the problems and attacking the problems so that you can be better. And it sounds weird because you think that they're two in the same. And in occasion, they can be. But most of the time, here's the big difference. If your brain is focusing on the problems, you're going to have problems. And there's going to be a lot of them, and you're not going to solve them. Because your brain is focusing on something that is negative and destructive. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of this outside of a relationship. I'm sure you've met these kind of people. Have you ever met someone that everything is just negative? They call them negative Nancy's or lizard ladies. They're not always ladies, so they can be guys too. But when like you could be, it could be anything. They'll just turn into a negative. It's like, it's annoying, you know, because you just like, you talk about anything with them and they'll find something to complain about. They'll always find something to complain about. They're like, wow, you know, hey, like you're working your job and you're like, hey, we swept up the place pretty quick tonight. And their response is, oh my gosh, yeah, but there's a lot more to do. Or their response is, yeah, but it's not clean enough. I mean, this floor is so gross and dirty. There's no, broom won't solve it. And it's like, okay, well then we gotta mop it. Mopping. Yeah, how much time it takes? We don't got that kind of time. I mean, it needs to be done. Rico, your parents are both like that. Oof. No, it's quite common. And you don't want to spawn that attitude into your relationship, right? If you focus on problems and you make problems a core part of your relationship, you are going to brood problems into your relationship to have one. I'm going to run that loop by you again, because that's important and deep. If you make your relationship founded upon problems, you are eventually going to maybe solve some, but most of them you're not going to. But one point or another, you're going to literally brood problems into your relationship so that you can have a relationship. Because all your relationship is this problem. Is this ball of problems that you're working on together. You don't want a relationship like that. Don't want a relationship like that. And there's many ways that can look, right? And so I just wanna say, go back and listen to what Joe had to say. Be patient. Recognize, and I love that you said this. I also told her, and Joe pointed this out as well. I also told her if she doesn't want to tell me the problems, then tell them to someone else. You didn't say exactly like that, but that's great. That's really great. It shows that you've kind of got the right attitude. But if you can, spend more time worrying less about the problems. Believe in her. Believe in her. Because here's the thing. This is the person that you've picked out of all the people in the world. Not that you've met every person, but or had a chance with every person, but regardless, of all the people in the world, this is your girlfriend. Give her some credit. You know? Be patient with her. Recognize, like, she is an impressive gal. If you're with her, you wouldn't pick an unimpressive gal, would you? No, you're going to pick the best that you can think of for you, right? And look at this person and go, wow, this person is smart. And they are smart enough to solve their problems without me. And I'm here to help. But they're impressive. And I believe that they will get through this. Come with that attitude towards this. It's going to make the environment a lot easier for them to open up about it. Because now you've counteracted the worriedness factor, right? She doesn't want to tell people because she doesn't want people to worry about her. But if you give her the attitude that you're not worried about her because you know she's going to be okay, it gives her the openness to recognize she can trust in you, these little worries, because she knows you're not going to freak out over them. Okay? I hope that makes sense. A lot of people who come from the environment of I don't like sharing my problems with others, the reason they are in that boat is because they grew up with people who would freak out over problems. And anytime something went wrong with them, their parents would go, "Oh my gosh, blah 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 blah," and they'd like get hyper like intensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I know people like that.
yeah. So when you, yeah, I think we all do. When you have a problem
Mm-hmm.
in your life, and someone comes to you, and you share that problem, and what they do is explode, it puts into your mind these little seeds of, hey, you better not tell people your problems, because when you tell people your problems, they get worried about you and they explode and they waste their time thinking about you, and it's unhealthy for them. It is literally unhealthy for them to hear my problem, because my problem will destroy them inside. And that's probably where your girlfriend is coming from. And I recognize that because I've been there, and I know a couple friends that have been there as well. When you have overactive experiences, or overreactive rather, that's what you kind of just land on. You're like, I'm not going to share my problems with people. I'll figure them all out by myself, because I can do that, one. And then two, if I do share, people explode. It's terrible. They get so worked up. They get more worked up about my problems than I get worked up about my problems. It's ridiculous. It is actually the word ridiculous, and they shouldn't be doing that. And so you're just like, I'm not going to share my problems then. And so you have to create for an environment where she feels like, I can share this because he's not going to freak out. I can share this because he knows that I've got this. I can share this because he's not going to try to fix me. I can share this because he's not going to try to solve me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can share this because he is going to listen to me, is the one other thing that I would really like to poke on. Because there's another scenario where you can have a very similar reaction of, oh, I don't want to share, like, don't worry about it, I'll be fine, is the very highly independent person that doesn't know how to rely on others
Right,
because
that's
of
true.
whatever experiences they've been through, and they just don't know. When they've had problems and they've come up to somebody, they've either been hyper reactive, or they've they it basically shuts down into whatever scenario. They don't have any helpfulness, or maybe they don't listen, or either way, the problem, even though it's shared, no good resolution comes out of it. Either there is a negative effect of hyper, or it's a negative effect of, I shared it out there, it wasn't cared about, there wasn't any, even if there's not a necessary need for a response, there is a need to be heard. At least, especially, for me, I discover that, you know, for me, a lot of the times it's not about having somebody solve my problem. It's about having somebody know my problem so that it's not just me with it. Because I'm very capable of solving my own problems, but I'm also very highly independent, just how I grew up. And so it's very much a, don't worry about it, I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. It's not like you're going to solve the problem anyway. It's not like you're going to be, it's not like I need you to be there for this problem to get solved. It's my problem, not yours. Why should I share it with you? You know? And in that sense, I apologize. I had to step away while Joe was speaking, so I don't know if I'll touch on some things Joe was saying, but I would create an environment of sharing, both with problems and especially without problems, where you very much show, not just tell. Don't just say, "Oh, I'll listen to you." It's, "Hey, how was your day? How's it going?" Like, "What fun things did you do today? What sort of things were you up to? Oh, that's so cool," And encouraging and listening to things that aren't just problems, but happy events, maybe sad events, maybe, "Oh, I was really annoyed by this coworker who was chewing really loudly at lunch." I mean, it's fine, but at the same time, you could just have your mouth shut, you know? Even the small little
That
things that
sounded too
may
real.
not mean a lot.
I'm sorry to Princess's coworkers watching this.
But anyway, I mean, that's something that I remember my grandparents telling me all the time, like,
Ah,
"Make sure your mouth is closed, you're showing really, whatever." But anyway, it's having that openness to listening in conjunction with not focusing too heavily on, "Oh, you have a problem, you're not telling me, you need to tell me." Because the more that you push into that, the more that person's gonna wanna back away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So it's definitely not something you want to force. There are very rare situations where if it's something very serious that needs to get addressed, then yes, force may be necessary, but 9 out of 10 times, even in those, force isn't the way to go. Again, you need to have patience and you need to give them an environment where they can open themselves up and feel free to do so. Because you'll find when you create that environment that people are willing to share and they'll go out of their way and they'll, be like, "Hey, I've been really struggling with this lately. I don't know if it's just me, if it's just the weather or whatever, but this has been on my mind." And then if you again approach it with, calm, sort of not overreacting, not being like, "Oh my gosh, we need to, solve this problem. We need to get da 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 da," or "Oh my gosh, you need to see a doctor," or, however those things can go. If you go like, "Oh yeah, oh man, that kind of stinks." And I know what that can be like, and yeah, and you kind of talk it out like it's a calm and normal thing. It can go a lot better
Mm-hmm.
even when they are more difficult topics perhaps or more deep things. If you talk it at a very calm and peaceful pace, I guess, for lack of better words, that's going to go a lot better in helping them to feel comfortable sharing and to feel open about it.
Mm-hmm.
you know and again, I would listen to what Ryan and Joe have said, too, in the context of making an environment of sharing, that if you make that environment where sharing is good and okay, generally it'll share both good times and bad times. And that's kind of life, right? You share your life with the other person. And that's part of, what the end goal is when you're in a relationship and marriage, and that is you are sharing each other with one another.
Mhm.
And that comes a lot more easily when there's an environment built there of no question's a stupid question, nothing that you share is not worth hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a person you decide, "Hey, I would like to share my life with them. I think that they're worth listening to." Even when things sometimes might be, like, "Ugh, they're talking about their Yu-Gi-Oh cards again for the 10th time this week." I really hope they can
Hope it goes
stop at
quickly
some
this
point
time.
soon. "Yes, honey, are you getting more of them? Oh, grand. More money spent on Yu-Gi-Oh cards."
That's great.
But
Oh,
anyway.
goodness.
You come up with really real examples. That's great.
Well, that's actually from a favorite streamer I watch
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yu-Gi-Oh
it
cards,
sounds so real. Okay, yeah,
and
that makes sense
they
now.
and one of the jokes, or not jokes, I don't know, he's deciding not to get gutters, and it says, like, "This is going to the Yu-Gi-Oh card fund." It's like, these should be towards gutters." Ah, we don't need gutters.
Got it.
But it's just, yeah, it's very silly. But
Mm,
anyway, they're real examples in that sense.
mm,
Um, and so that's kind of what I see this question is, you know, if you create an environment where she feels safe and free to share anything, that'll be both her problems and life's ups and downs have the ups too, the fun things, the cool things. "Hey, I'm really excited about this," or "Hey, I'm really excited about that," you know? And so that's, I guess I'm fumbling now, so I'm gonna turn it back over to them on that. But that's what I've got to add.
Oh no, thank you so much for stepping in and adding that. I think that's very, very good and wise, for sure. Creating an open environment, and that really starts with you. Um, how open are you in your conversations? Don't be afraid to just talk nonchalantly about everything. You want to get to a point where everything. You don't want to say boring, nonchalant as in like melancholy, but nonchalant as in like it's not a big deal to talk about problems. It's not a big deal to share open thoughts. It's not a big deal to talk about these topics that people might consider big deals. You want to be open in your relationship because that's what a relationship is aiming towards.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, if you don't have that, then you don't have what you're aiming for, right? And so you need to just do your part. And I'm not saying you haven't been. I'm not saying you haven't been. I'm saying if you already are, continue. And if you aren't, then start. But just being open yourself is going to do, just going to help create that environment and just being relaxed because Like Princess said, a lot of times, honestly, a lot of times we can solve our own problems that has nothing to do with the other person. They don't need to get involved, right? And that's the way I've lived most of my life. I recognize, okay, this person isn't involved. They don't need to know my problem because they can't help me solve it. And I'm getting through it already. I'm taking the steps necessary and it's going. It's okay. Or I'm doing what I can. You know, some things, if it gets to a point, you know, eventually I might share with someone. But only if they ask, right? Usually I don't give reasons for people to ask me questions, right? About my problems. But regardless, to you know, it's not about being able to solve it yourself though. In relationship, it's about the relationship, right? And so you want to create an environment where for sure you can be open to each other. So recognize that of course she doesn't need to share, but she can, and she'll get through her problems. Give her belief in that. Look at her and tell her that. And say, I know you can solve your problems, whatever they are. You know, because you're smart and you're good at this. You know, and to be open in that way, like to be able to rely on the person is important. And you have to rely on them taking care of themselves too, right? And if they're not taking good care of themselves, right, that's when you step in. And maybe that's what you're trying to do. But sometimes people need a little push. Sometimes they need a little less, you know? So you have to navigate that and figure out what works. And I'm sorry, we can't quite pinpoint what's going on because we're not in it. And also, even if we were in it, probably still couldn't. Because everyone's different. But honestly, I very much wish you both the best. And I love that you're coming to us and you're looking for an answer. And I think that's great. And I hope that something we've said has been helpful. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add?
There was one thing as you guys were talking, I thought of a situation, and I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up, Anonymous, that it's possible that there are some really deep things happening inside her, and you know, there may be some deep wounds that may be years and years old, and they may have been buried and buried and buried and buried and buried, and so there could be trust issues. There could be all kinds of things going on, right? I mean, in my personal experience, there were so many crazy things going on in my life for so long, and it wasn't right. But I buried it, and I made it seem like it was right, and I made it seem like it was okay for a long, 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 long time. And then finally, a person just kind of kept patiently, you know, asking, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" And then finally, as I opened up, a whole bunch of stuff just started to spill out, and I started to look at this stuff that was all coming out, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is a mess." And I'm like, "What is going on?" And then everything started to unravel and this train wreck started to happen and I couldn't live my life and like I ended up in therapy and you know, there's all like and it all started because I finally let the dam break a little bit. And then all this stuff started to just spill out. And it was crazy. And so Anonymous, I want you to be prepared that that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
There may be some deep things that are really, really hard. And as they start to come out, they might just come spilling out and a big old mess might happen. And, you know, like, but it's how it needs to happen. Because I mean, if we just spend our lives burying things that's not healthy, all kinds of things, you know, like that doesn't work. But I just wanted to make you aware that this is a possibility. And it's also a possibility that maybe she's opened up in the past and it all started to kind of come spilling out. And that freaked the person out that was listening to her and they ditched her. Because that's happened to me before too.
Mm-hmm.
Where I've started to open up all this kind of stuff. And then it, you know, it seems okay for a while. And then all of a sudden, boom, gone. That friend's gone. And Ryan told me I remember sitting down with Ryan. We were talking at his place, And he goes, "Joe, yeah, if you find a close friend, you're just gonna like confide in them until they break."
I probably said that because it's accurate.
You did. I'll never forget that. And I'm like, that's possibly true because, I mean, as you live a while, things stack up, and if you deal with abuse and if you deal with all kinds of crazy stuff, I mean, like there's just it gets nuts sometimes. And so maybe she's been trained to hold back because you're important to her. She doesn't want to lose you. And that's happened in the past that when she started to open up, she lost that person. And so maybe this is her way of trying to protect your relationship. But just be aware that that's possible.
Yeah, I really love that you said that.
And understand that her not sharing is not a reflection of you.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yep.
don't try to tie yourself, or I don't know if ego is the right word, or just, your self-identity to she's not willing to open up to me, something's got to be wrong with me, or I'm not doing this right, or whatever. No. Again, this is for her own world and issues and stuff.
Mhm.
Mm.
So, it's not a reflection of you.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Absolutely.
important to say for sure. Yeah, it gets super easy to get into that just self-destructive trap where you think, "Oh, my relationship isn't perfect, so I'm the fault," or
Mhm.
like, they're not opening up to me, so it must be me.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's not. You have to recognize like this is the person that's not opening up. It's them. It's them not opening up, but it's not because they're doing something wrong. They're probably trying to do something right. Or just like Joe's example. And so it's just a matter of learning your way through these things and testing the waters. And so you got to give her those opportunities to test the waters, and then you wade through those waters like just like they're crystal clear. And you there's that's really all you can do.
Mhm.
Sometimes is just let her open up. When she does, you give her your attention and you act the best you can and give her the best you can. And hopefully that'll encourage more of that as time goes by.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. But be ready. Be ready just in
Mm-hmm.
case. If all of this stuff starts spilling out, it could look really messy for a while. And that,
Mm-hmm.
so just be aware, and it's okay. It's okay. Maybe it needs to happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're there and you're solid for her, man, that's going to speak volumes. That is going to speak volumes for her. So this may be a time to check your commitment level.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Um, and you might find some of those things are things that are caught up in your relationship. It could be things that you're even doing in your relationship that she's struggling with on an internal
Mm-hmm.
level, and it's something that needs to stop or something that needs to start. And she's having her own thoughts, so it's not even you're worried about her not sharing her problems, but she could have this whole boat of like things that are within the relationship, and it's gonna hurt when it opens up. But your job is to be there and go through it with her, right? And even if it hurts you, right? And she's trying to protect you from something that's, deep in there that she doesn't want to share with you because it will hurt you. And that's why she's having a problem with it. You have to be ready to bear that and just say, you know what? I would gladly take that in order for this to move forward and be the best that it can be. Um, and I mean, honestly, if that hasn't happened already, it's going to happen to you, right? Because that's good relationships go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need those things to level your relationship up, to deepen the wells of love that a well can hold. Um, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyone else have anything to say?
I'll just end it with Easy has a cool quote. I
Oh yeah,
might
yeah,
modify it for ease, but
sure.
never attribute to malice that of which is adequately explained or attributed to ignorance.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Easy with all the
DWW, we wish you.
great quotes.
He's got great quotes. And
Yeah.
Anonymous, we wish you the best.
Yeah, for sure we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. I really appreciate what you guys had to say a lot. And I hope that this has been helpful. But we are going to move on to the next topic. So thank you so much, Anonymous.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for doing us the honors of coming to us, because obviously you could have chosen anyone to talk to this about. So we really appreciate that you asked.
And don't let the cheeseburgers give you medical advice.
Oh, okay. Good advice.
Yes. Excellent advice, Baca. Thank you. I mean, I enjoy cheeseburgers as much as the next guy.
But they sure don't make good therapists. They can make you feel good for a second, but
right.
They won't help you work through your problems.
Yep.
All right. So do we have another one by Anonymous?
Different Anonymous.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, obviously. This one is from another Anonymous. It is titled Insanity. And that sounds like a good topic starter. I'm going to give it over to Princess. You guys can read along as you wish.
Excuse me. Sanity, the ability to think and behave in a normal and rational manner. Sound mental health, reasonable and rational behavior. My life hangs upon a tiny string stretched a mile between skyscrapers. I see less than the blind. I hear less than the deaf. I am debilitated mentally as if I were lame. Shattered wouldn't do justice the fractures that mosaic my mind cemented, but the last silky shreds of sanity many snapped and torn. The shallow breaths of a dying swallow are stronger than the faint beating of my heart. How can I not fall to the shadowy grasp of insanity? God is all I can hope in, yet my failings seem as though that is unattainable. From Anonymous.
Just right off the bat, Anonymous. Dang, your writing is beautiful. Absolutely
beautiful, poetic,
tremendous.
very, very.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's kind of hard to believe that someone feels like they're on the grips are on the edge of sanity when they can write in such beautiful poetic form. But then again, a lot of our greatest poets, and in fact, poetry itself is said to be the art of explaining the unexplainable. You know, when you adore something so greatly, you have no words for it. You take to words that certainly manifest in poetry. That come out in ways that are just like wow. Or when you feel the depths of despair, you might turn to poetry. It's because you don't have words for it, but you can try, and it's a beautiful art form. And so I think that you've done it justice here. Certainly, you've done poetry great justice. In your writing here. But anyhow, beyond that, I think this is a really, really deep and interesting topic. And you know, there's a lot to recognizing that we're not all there. You know, we're not all there, and that applies to all of us. Is what I mean. We're all not all there. There's a bit of insanity in us all. And those are things we have to sometimes just live with. Sometimes those are things we have to recognize and do our best with. And I really love this final line that you said, how can I not fall into the shadowy grasps of insanity? God is all I can hope in, yet my failing seem as though that is unattainable. And I love that line because it admits this hope for truth, this hope for light. And yet, because of guilt, it feels like, but I can't have that. And that's so relatable. And yeah, it not only is it relatable, I think it's something that needs to be spoken on. So I hope you don't mind if we go a little bit religious here on this one, guys. at some point during this. But yeah, with that said, I'm gonna get out of Joe's way. Unless you need more time.
No, good.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
am like, are you teeing this up for me to speak on religion or
No,
like?
I wasn't trying to tee it up. I was just giving the forecast. So, giving the
Oh, gotcha.
forecast.
That religion might be a part
Yeah,
of this topic. Yeah.
might be, yeah, because forecasts aren't
Hmm.
certain. When you give a weather
Right.
forecast, it's.
Right. I'm just trying to read your cues.
Oh,
And
okay. My
I'm
big
like,
cue is Joe's gonna
Joe.
talk.
This means Joe, talk religiously.
Oh, Joe, talk whatever you like. Joe, don't talk about peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
Peanut butter. All right, Joe, you have the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's funny, like if I sit in my chair, my feet actually don't touch the floor.
Oh,
So I don't have the floor, actually. I have my chair. I have a footstool.
you have a footstool.
I have a footstool.
Nice.
Under my desk. Great.
Nice. So your feet don't touch the floor; they touch a footstool.
Yep, my feet don't touch the floor. If I like stretch or whatever, then they touch the floor.
Oh, if you
But
sit
yeah,
like a normal person.
yeah, but yeah.
Got
Anyway,
it.
that's neither here nor there.
Uh-huh.
Anonymous, I know how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. It's tough. It's tough. Like if your life bombards you with things and you can feel like on the edge. I was talking to a friend of mine maybe a month or two ago. And he was a guy that actually he taught the RCIA class that helps me then become a member of the Catholic Church, and then he invited me to help him teach it. And so we were talking, and we were having coffee and stuff, and he said, I don't remember this particular saint's name, but there was a saint who said life is basically just trepidation. To experience that, to experience a walk with Christ religiously, right? Like it's an experience in trepidation a lot of times. And so we can feel like we're on the edge. And so it's like, do I just trust? Do I just have faith? Like I'm trying. I'm being let down. I'm getting hit with a lot of stuff and it seems like it's going to continue. And yes, I know none of us know the future as human beings, but man, it sure can seem bleak. There are times when, you just look at the forecast of everything that's happening and the storms swirling around you. And you're like, there is no good way out of this. There is no win here. No win whatsoever. And I know it's hard. And I will offer to you as well. If you would like to DM me on Discord, I'd be happy to talk to you. Pleb6992 is my Discord name. And if you want to go deeper into this, we can definitely talk. But yeah, there's an interesting thing. Those of you who know me, you know that I go to confession a lot, more than average.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily always that I'm such a hugely bad sinner all the time, but there's grace that comes from going to confession. And, so Ryan talked about maybe this is going to get religious. Here's a little bit of religious. The beauty in confession is that when we whatever we confess, what we're doing is we're separating ourselves from that thing we did, that thing we thought or said or whatever it is, we separate ourselves from the event and we realize that our identity is not the event. We are apart from that. We are not that. We are who we are. And it helps to be reminded of that. And it helps to hear those words of absolution at the end when a priest, says, "Go in peace. God, the Lord has forgiven you your sins," blah, 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 blah. There's a peace in knowing that that's the way that Christ set up the church with those sacraments. I mean, that's how it's set up. It's biblical that this was set up. Otherwise, there are verses that make no sense without the sacrament of confession. But anyway, I know it's a struggle. And my heart goes out to you. Because it's a tough draw. It's a tough draw when, like you feel like you're losing control of your mind. So I'd ask you, Anonymous, because I'm going to sound like a broken record. Have you thought about seeing a therapist? And if you feel like you're on the edge of sanity, then it might be time to find some help. Some help that's a professional that can dig in, that can help you navigate all those inner workings of your mind that are causing this issue and to find the problems. And sometimes it might be something so out of the blue, it seems like, but like you wouldn't even have imagined that that was the problem, but they point it out and then you start working on it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, they're right. This is a huge part of the problem." And because they've trained in this area, they know how to navigate. They know how to get there, and they can help you. And here's the other thing, if you do find a therapist and it seems like they're not doing well, they're not doing you right, whatever, it's okay to switch. It's okay to find a different one. And I know it's tough, like, especially if you're not seeing a therapist now and you feel like you're on the edge of insanity, to try and find a therapist might be like a hugely daunting task. Now, we're not sponsored by anybody, we don't have affiliations with any type of therapy or whatever. I know the big one, the one I always hear about is a website called Better Health. I've heard good things about it. I've heard bad things about it. I've heard, but that's the same as with anything. I mean, it might be worth trying. But yeah. The other thing I want to point out, Anonymous, is that your words speak so richly. And they really, really help me to see the heart of what's going on. And I'm sorry. One of my best friends, Steve, as I was, going down the path of divorce and uh, trying to navigate a custody battle and trying to navigate all this stuff, he said, "Man, I'm so glad you're going through this right now." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Because, dude, you write the best music when you're going through a challenge." I'm like, "Well, I appreciate that. It's still hard." Right? It's still not something I want to go through. But there can be good that comes from it. And your words are in a way, they prove that. because only someone that's in there, in that mentality, could find that rich, deep, meaningful way of explaining it. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for coming. I'm proud of you for,
Hmm.
stating this, for sharing with us. It can be so hard to share, and it takes a lot of guts to admit that there's something going on. It takes a lot of guts to admit it to ourselves, and it takes even more guts to share it. And so I'm really proud of you, Anonymous. And I hope some of what I said makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I'm so blown away because I because I can identify with what you're saying so much. And so it's hard for me to find the words. It's hard for me to it's hard for me to tell you the answer. So hopefully Ryan will have some answers.
Right.
I'm going to turn it over to him and let him talk to you because he's definitely wise and he's helped me in a lot of ways. So, Ryan,
Well, thank
it's
you.
all yours.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm in the same boat as Joe as far as geez, how do you approach this? How do you talk about this? And you know, being caught up in this war of I don't know, your life, and feeling like you're losing sanity, like you're losing yourself, and I'm sure you're depressed, and everything is falling apart. It's starting to be hard to reason. It's starting to be hard to um, come to sound reasons about things, or what you should do about certain things, or even wanting to do anything at all. So I have some interesting thoughts on the matter. I can't say that I can help you, right? Obviously, I can't. I'm not that I can't help you, but I'm saying obviously I can't guarantee that I can help, right? But what I can try to do is help, hopefully lead you in a direction that will help. So I just want to talk to you about a couple of things. One, sanity. When I think of sanity, you wrote down the ability to think and behave in a normal and rational manner. Sound mental health. And so what's interesting about that is we're Homo sapiens, right? We're human beings. We're human beings. And we struggle with two things. We have two things. We are sentient and we are sapient. Okay? Two Latin words for you. Sentience, right? What is sentience? That's the word that we get sentimental from, right? Sentience means you have feeling, compassion.
Mm.
You have knowledge in the form of emotional experience. Sapient, that's thinking. You have the ability to have rationale, to have logic, to think your way through things. So it's knowledge in form of logic and knowledge in form of emotion. And when we are losing our sanity, we're losing the battle on both fronts. We feel like we can't have the emotions we want because we don't have the knowledge for it. And we feel like we don't have the knowledge of how to solve anything. And that just further plummets our emotions. And everything seems to be crumbling apart. And nothing starts to make sense anymore. Because how do you rationalize any of it? And the struggle sometimes, not everyone's going to face this battle that you're facing. I recognize that not everybody gets to the deep depths that you're experiencing, right? And you end up with this scenario where you feel like you can't have sentience or sapience. You feel like you're just losing it all.
Mm.
And you feel like you're barely human anymore. You can't solve your own problems. You can't be happy, and it's hard. And it's like I should be able to choose these things, but I have no power. And that's what I want to talk about. Power. Because as we battle for these things, we battle for them because we want to be able to control our emotions and our happiness. We battle for these things because we would fight for the knowledge to solve this, for the knowledge of anything, to be able to behave in a rational manner, to be able to be ourselves, to have the freedom to just actually be what we want to be and be, and that requires power. But the interesting thing is, there's a lie. And it's that we have that power. But we don't. We have power, but we don't have power there. The lie of society is that we make our lives whatever we want to make of them. But the truth is, we know that's not true. We already know that that's irrational. When we buy into that irrational feeling that we get to have a say in our life, of everything that we do, how we feel, these things, we have to recognize that no, that's not true. That's a lie. And so sometimes when you're fighting with sanity, you have to start to pick at the lies and start pulling them out so you can have rationality again. Because you can't be wrong about something and then try to tie right into it, right? It just doesn't, it collapses. And so there's many things that we believe as people that can tie us down and keep us from being reasonable with ourselves. But one of those things is we have to learn to let go. It's often we feel like we have to fight for our happiness. We have to fight to be on top. We have to, it's a dog-eat-dog world. In order to get on top, you have to crush others. That can be our feelings sometimes. And that can be how it feels. Like you look out into nature. You look out into nature right now. What do you see? What do the plants get to do? They grow. They have no choice. They don't have power. They don't have choice. They just grow. And then what happens to them? They get eaten by the deers. And the deers, do they have ultimate power? No, they don't have ultimate power. They get destroyed by the wolves. And then you're like, oh, that's where the dog-eat-dog world comes from. You get in nature, in actual nature, without humanity, what you find is creatures don't have power over their lives. Creatures just deal with what they're given. And that's interesting because being a human is not like being those other creatures. But that doesn't mean we have power. Being a human, what separates us is a couple of things, right? We have satience. Wow, I'm messing words up. We have sapience and sentience, right? And some animals have those to a small degree, but we have an overflux of it, right? Another thing that you mentioned is God, and one thing that we have that other creatures don't is God. The other creatures have God, right? God exists, but they don't have the emotional ability, and they don't have the logical ability to recognize God. They don't have enough of either of those to worship God. And so to be human, sometimes you have to recognize that you're still an animal. You don't have control. You are, unfortunately, compromised by nature itself.
Mm-hmm.
You are compromised by that inner battle of being human. You know, other animals don't have to face the struggle of trying to control their behavior. They just behave. And there's no recompense, there's no guilt, there's none of that. They just simply behave. But we as humans, we have this unique conscience that only belongs to us, to recognize, hey, this isn't, I feel bad about my behavior and I want to be a better person. This desire, this reach for better, for betterment, for self-improvement. All animals, they have a line of, there's a continuous linear improvement, but it's nothing like the improvement of a human being, where we work on our behavior, we work on our emotional intelligence, we work on our logical intelligence, you know, our logical intelligence, I'll just refer to it as that. There's so much to being human. How can we bear it all? And to be in this position where you're at, where you feel like you're walking on your last line of a string, you know, that's run across skyscrapers, and if it breaks, well, that's an appropriate feeling. It's an appropriate feeling because you're human. I mean, geez, our mind is crazy that we can do the things with it that we can. We were given the ability beyond our means. And so with this great ability, what are we supposed to do with it? What is all this for? What's the answer here, right? And I think the answer is in giving up your power and then utilizing your heart. Now, utilizing what you're given. Because when we try to have power over everything in our life, we are just going to find that we are standing on thin threads. But if we just allow life to be, and I know it's a hard phrase, it's a super hard phrase for us to swallow, but because it gives us the idea that we can't fix our problem and that we're going to be stuck where we are forever. But that's not the case. Okay, so I just want to say that in the forefront. If we allow ourselves to recognize, look, I don't have the ultimate power in my life. Nature has power over me. God has power over me. Other people in this world have power over me. Other people have created, you could say, hey, I create my own finances, but in truth, you were born into a financial system that existed before you and has power over you. It does. You were born into a social society, and there's certain types of social situations that have power over you. There were laws. They have power over you. You just have to recognize, like, look, if I start to just let things be as they are, that's okay, because that doesn't change anything. I am where I am anyways. Recognize, hey, look, I don't have the power to fix and change everything. What do I have power over? Well, I have a little bit of power, and it's not a great amount of power, but I have a little bit of power in a couple of things. Find what those things are. And they could be prayer. Good start.
Mm-hmm.
They can be your heart. Where's your heart at? Where's your heart at? Where's your heart for humanity? You know, mercy. And I've talked about this before, but misericordia, it means misery, heart. So mercy comes from the word misery and heart, right? It means it's Mercy is God coming down to humanity and saying, I feel your pain, and my heart is with you. And so I'm going to pardon you from some things because I feel bad, right? And it hurts, right? And I want not just to pardon you, but I want to be there with you through those things. Now, a lot of times we have to allow him in to do that. I told you you might get a little bit religious, but that's where I'm going to stop that part and go on to say, your misery. Where's your misery? Where's your heart? Where's your mercy? Are you being merciful to others around you? You have control over that. You know, in this life, we're called to do great things, but great things are not often grandiose. But the power that they have is power that's divine. Power that is beyond us. It's our ability to love. You have that power. You have the power to love. You have the power to increase your love. You know, love increases by the way that it's measured, or, way that it's struggles sometimes. You know, sometimes your love increases by the measure in which it has been pushed down, cut apart, ripped, torn, punched, bruised. Sometimes your heart gets shattered, and that only makes you capable of loving more. And that's a beautiful thing. What else do you have power in? Well, again, it's not much, but maybe you can draw. Well, clearly you can write. And your ability to write is quite fantastic. So there's a start. And you say, well, what do I do with that? That doesn't help anything. It doesn't put any power into the world. Well, it certainly does. First of all, everything you do matters. Everything you do matters. See, in a world, it's kind of funny. Again, this is a religious topic, so I'm just going to touch and go with it. But, there's a line. If you don't believe in God, then not everything matters. But if you believe in God, everything. Now suddenly everything matters. Because what you do with your time matters. And the way that you're intending things, just your intent, matters. Because your intent is seen by God, right? And so when you write, God sees that. God feels it. And if you put it into the world, other people get to experience it and read it, and their hearts are touched. And they feel that. And they feel that mercy. Because to me, what you're showing is misery, but it's also where your heart meets misery. And what this poem is mercy. It's almost like a plead for mercy, but it itself is a form of mercy. So, and if you're doing that, then here's the thing. God, what is God? Well, God is, the God that I'm assuming you're referring to, since you have a sense of guilt, is probably the God who is also known as the God of mercy, or he who is mercy. If you look at the Old Testament, the Quran, God is defined by many things, and in a short period of sentences, and one of them is merciful. And that's important. It's so when you act mercifully, you're acting as like God. See, animals tend to not be able to have the capacity for mercy. They might spare something. They might spare their target. They might, a wolf might see a little cat and decide not to eat it and just help it actually sustain itself in life. But that isn't from a state of mercy. That's withholding. It is a certain type of care. And it can maybe be a small amount of mercy, but not to the degree that you're capable of. We'll say it that way. It can be an act of mercy, but not to the degree that you're capable of. So God is everywhere. God can be in animals, of course. But I would say that in life, the things that matter most, if you're a religious person, God is what matters most. What are you doing that's godlike? Sometimes you don't recognize how many things that you're doing are godlike. My point isn't to say get better, do better, try harder. My point is to say recognize that you're good. That God made you and he called it good, and that's good enough. That you might feel like you're on the edge of sanity. You might feel like you're walking the tightrope, that everything is falling apart. But that doesn't take away from your goodness. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. It doesn't mean that it's going to last forever and that this is you. I want you to try to recognize those things that you're doing that are good and beautiful. Find God in those things. Why? Sorry, for those who aren't religious, why God? Find God. Because God is good. God is holy. God is what we strive for. It's what we reach for, what we desire. And so if you can see those things that you're doing on a daily basis, that'll start help you recognize what you should be focusing on. Because in life, sometimes you're walking a tightrope. And the best thing you can do is not worry about the other lines that are broken. Because those are not in your power. In this life, you are given only so much. We're all on tightropes. But some of us we feel like our tightrope is a mile wide, stretch of land. It's like, it's safe. This is safe. Yeah, but to those people, you can read countless stories of, you could read, here's a famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That dude built a whole industry. Collapsed in like a week. Maybe a month. And he was broke, living in his car. Then he built another industry. And he got rich again. Like, wow, he can just do that? Well, yeah, he can. Does that mean you can just do that? Maybe, maybe not. But he recognizes that he's not secure. One of his things in his book is just that recognition of like, geez, you think you got it. You think that you're safe. But you're not. We all think we've got, at any moment you can just be thrown in jail for anything. You don't even have to have done anything. You can get accused for doing something, get proven guilty, and thrown in jail. Even though you did nothing, had no part of it. My point is, we're all walking the tightrope. We only have so much power. Don't buy into the lie that you have the power to be what you want to be. It's quite simply, you are what you are. Be that. Because that is good. What you are is really the best. Now, can you be a better version of yourself? Sure. But what you are, what you were made as, that's good. That's real good. Be that. Focus on what you can do. Don't focus on what you can't. If you don't feel like you can control your emotions right now, focus on what you can do. Write some poetry. Pray. Do something. If you feel like you can't be logical at the moment, it's okay. Do what you can do. Cry it out into a pillow. That's godlike. You think crying out into a pillow is godlike? Yeah. What did Jesus do in the garden? He cried so hard, he literally bled tears and sweat tears. And that's a real thing that can happen to people when you become so stressed and all your capillaries burst and you literally sweat blood and cry blood. And if you haven't cried that hard, just know that you're just a little bit like God. Like us all. So, it's okay. It's okay. If you gotta just cry on your pillow. If you just gotta scream it out. Okay. So did God. When God was human, that's what happened. So, anyways, I hope that's helpful. My point of all of that isn't to, again, isn't to say, like, do this, do that. You know, I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you that what you are is good. And I hope that you focus on who you are. Focus on the goodness in you. Because that's there and that's real. Don't lie to yourself and say it's not. Because it is. I'm not gonna argue with you. God is though. So and God's gonna win that argument. So here's one last thing. You said, yeah, my failings seem as though that is unattainable, in reference to God is all you can hope. God feels you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean, be your best self. You just keep on doing that. Don't worry about it. Because here's the thing. That statement alone, if you hope in God, if you love God, that's the only thing that God wants, is your love. The only thing you have to offer him anyways. You can't offer him anything else. Worship, sacrifice, all that is to say love. So if you can do those things, it's great. Anyways, I know I talked for quite a while and quite religious, so I'm sorry for those of you who are here and don't care any bit about religion. But there we went there, and I'm going to give it back over to Joe. Joe, did you have anything you'd like to add? Or Princess, if you as well would like to step in. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. What do you do with all this now? Ryan gave you such tremendous insight into your value, into the fact that you're good as you are, just as you are. Your attributes are valuable. You are valuable. So what do you do in this pain? What do you do in this turmoil, in this mental, emotional, this whole, I mean, this feeling of just trepidation and being unsure and feeling like you're on the edge and about to fall off, and like, what's even the point anyway? And you know, like all this stuff that can come flying into your head. What do you do with it? Okay, great. I'm good. I don't feel like it. Great. God made me and God said it's good. Okay. Awesome. Doesn't feel like it. I understand. So what do you do? And I apologize, I'm gonna go a little religious again, but it's gonna be from multiple religious angles. So I'm gonna touch on a letter from Pope John Paul II and a book/movie by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who is an Anglican, and he co-wrote a book with the Dalai Lama. And that's Buddhism, right?
Dalai Lama?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe
don't
that's
know right
Zen Buddhism.
Zen? Then yeah.
I believe that's
Okay.
what it is.
Okay.
Zen Buddhism.
Yep, we got it. Yep, you got it.
All right. Cool. Here's the thing. Okay, when we suffer, There's a book called on the Christian Meaning of Human Suffering by Pope John Paul II. He said, when we suffer, we cry out to God. And we're like, why? Why? Like, what the heck, man? And we don't get an answer. The answer we get is an invitation to experience suffering. And that's just feels sick and twisted. Like, what? It's literally true. We don't get an answer. Why? Why do I got to go through this? Why do I have to feel this way? Why do I have to feel like I'm about to fall off and die? And maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing anyway. Why? But then the pinnacle, we don't get the answer as like, okay, here we go. But as we agree to continue to forge through, it becomes more and more clear to us that the answer is in the story of the Good Samaritan. A Samaritan was a person reviled by Jewish culture, hated, and that brings its own form of suffering. But when he saw a wounded person on the side of the road that had been attacked by robbers, he helped that person. He had compassion for that person. Even in the midst of his own sufferings, he had compassion. And I would say, likely because of his sufferings, did he have that compassion. There's a movie called Mission Joy by Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And that's the general conclusion. They go through a whole bunch of stuff. It's a great movie. There's a lot of stuff you probably already heard before. I know I'd heard most of it before. But in the end, they're like, what's the point of all this? What's the point of all this suffering? I mean, these guys went through tremendous turmoil in their lives. Lots of people go through tremendous turmoil in their lives. Ryan talked about how every single one of us is on our own tightrope. We are. Some feel more extreme than others. Some you might look at somebody's tightrope and think, "Oh man, like they got it made," like this is a piece of cake. And you might look at other people's tightrope and you'll be like, "Holy cow, how do they even survive? How do they even hold on? How did they even, deal with this?" Right? When we experience that trepidation, that suffering, it deepens our compassion for others in theirs. And we can look at them and we can have a heart, we can have a compassion for them and feel with them and show them love, maybe in a way that nobody else can. And it can be beautiful and it can be so helpful. But here's the thing, even though our tightropes all look different, and I understand this very, very completely. That I look around and I see people on more extreme tightropes than mine and less extreme tightropes than mine. And I'm like, man, my tightrope is really tough. No matter where someone's at, no matter what it looks like, when someone is at their limit, it's their limit. When someone is experiencing as much suffering as they can handle, and that's the limit, that's as much as they can handle, it's the limit. It's the still full capacity. It's like full blast. And so you know what? When someone's in that, we can have compassion. We can understand. I mean, like, I know what it's like to be at full capacity. I know what it's like to be pushed to the limit. I know what it's like to hurt as deep as possible, as deep as I could possibly feel. This is as much as I can handle. and we can love them through it. And sometimes that's what somebody needs more than anything, is to know that somebody loves them and that somebody understands. So again, Anonymous, I am proud of you. I am proud of you for sharing. I am proud of you for experiencing this. I'm proud of you for, having the guts to recognize it and share it. And I'm also proud of you for continuing. Because as you continue, you can share love and compassion with so many people. And you may touch lives that you never even knew. You never even know about it. But you might. So, Anonymous, we love you. And I hope some of this has made sense. I hope some of it makes a difference. But I just want to help you understand it's okay. We all suffer. And we all go through times when it hurts more than we think we can handle, and we are at our limit. And in those moments, it's not the time to say, "Oh, you think you got it bad. You should see my problems, blah, 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 blah." No. When someone's at their limit, it's their limit. It's not a time to brag about, "Oh, man, just wait till you get to be a grown up, or just wait till you get married and get divorced, or just wait till you have some kids, or just wait till blah, 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 blah." It's bull. Our limit is our limit. And when you understand that, you can really have an impact. And that's all I got. And I'm sorry for taking so much time.
Oh no, I took more time than you did. Jeez, I took for a super long time with mine. There's so much more we could say, honestly. At least I know that I could say a whole lot, especially, when we talk about suffering. Why is there suffering? There's so much that can be said about it. If you want to know more, not that you don't know more already, but if you want us to talk about it more, please submit another topic, Anonymous. I would request that, because there's a topic that we can do just on suffering. So if you say, why do we suffer? We can go down that road, and I'm going to tell you that it hurts, but it's beautiful. Suffering is absolutely beautiful. And it doesn't feel that way, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It's what it's.
It's not what it's not either.
Yeah, it's not what's not, but it's what it's.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that is a hard thing to hear, man.
Yeah.
Suffering's beautiful.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way, but it is an
No.
absolutely beautiful thing in the grand scheme. And I'm thankful for it, even though it hurts. Yeah, I just, one last thing, I guess, if you don't mind, just to quickly touch on that last message or sentence once again. How can I not fall into the shadow grasp of insanity? God is all I can hope in, yet my failings seem as though that is unattainable. And I just want to say real quick that I can't tell you, obviously, what God thinks. But it's important to know God, right? And I want you to look at history. If you're asking about God, and you're like, you think that your feelings make you feel that it's unattainable, that's fine. It's an okay feeling. But I want you to know God, because here's the thing. You look at the beginning of the Bible, right from the get-go of Genesis. God tells you these people are righteous and he's with them. And then how does it describe them? It immediately goes on to telling they're doing terrible, stupid things. Now, does that mean it's righteous to do terrible, stupid things? No. But right from the beginning, God is working with sinners. Right from the beginning, God doesn't just say, oh, he's not good enough, I won't work with him. Right from the beginning, the first person who committed murder, God doesn't abandon.
Mm-hmm.
The person proclaims, oh God, you're abandoning me, and blah, blah, blah. And God says, no. I'm kicking you out of the land. You're going somewhere else. You know? But that doesn't mean it's the end of his story and of God's story with him. And so, and God worked through him, right? I mean, the world is the way it is. And so here's the thing. If you feel like you fail too much to have God, it's an appropriate feeling because it's true. No matter how perfect you are, you can't have God. That's also true, though, because just a creature. And you don't get to just deserve something because you're perfect. Okay? Even if you were perfect, you don't just get heaven. Right? If God is all you can hope in, and maybe you're thinking about heaven or whatever, maybe you're not, but if you're thinking about heaven, you don't go to heaven because you're perfect. You don't go to heaven because you're sinless. You need to, in order to be in heaven, you don't want sin to be in heaven with you. So yeah, there's some purgative nature about that. You want to be perfect in that place so that you can be around perfect people and things can be nice and perfect for you. But that isn't to say two things. One, that isn't to say that the people in heaven don't suffer. And what do I mean by that? It doesn't feel good when there are people on earth that you want love for, but they're denying it, right? You look down on earth and you go, wow, those people, I feel for them. I have compassion. I have suffering for them. I feel something in my heart that yearns for them, right? That's a form of suffering. So even in a perfect world, there's suffering. Because, well, at least when we look upon earth from that perfect world, right? And then secondly, the other thing is to say, don't think that you get into heaven just by being perfect. It's not how you get into heaven. Don't try to be bad. Try to be your best. Try to aim for perfection, right? But don't pin yourself down by it. Don't think that God expects that of you. It's like, I expected you to be perfect, but you weren't. So now you don't get to have me, and you don't get to have. God's not dumb. You know what he created when he created you. So
big old mess, man.
A big old mess. That's what he created. That's accurate. So because that's all of us. You get into heaven because God invited you. That's it. Right? And you accept. You either accept the invitation or you don't. So what I want you to do in life, if you feel like you're not good enough, that's okay, because you aren't. Because you don't just get to deserve something better than yourself. But also, look out for ways you can accept God in your life. That's far more. That's all that you can do. But that's the best thing you can do. Because just looking out for that is going to prepare you for the day that you die and accept God's invitation into heaven. Okay? But not trying to put this into a morbid situation where it's like, hey guys, this person's dying. I'm not. I'm just aiming at the end all be all, because in these type of scenarios, the big picture matters. And what's the big picture? Well, it's things outside of ourselves a lot of times. It does include ourselves, But how can we impact the world? How can we make the world a better place? How can we make other people feel good, right? And how are our relationships with God and etc. So that's all. I just wanted to touch on that. As you go through life, open all the doors that you can to let God in. Don't worry too much about being. Try to be perfect, the best you can be, but don't count God out. Don't count God out just because you can't be perfect. Don't close the doors to God just because you're not good enough for what he has to offer. Okay? I think that's really what I'm trying to say. Look for ways to open those doors. That's what I want to say. There you go.
Well said.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry for
Thank
such
you.
a long follow-up, and again, I also apologize for those who aren't interested in religion and you fell off there, and that's just gonna happen every once in a while on the show because we all come from different backgrounds.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yes, and we love exploring those backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
We're not ashamed of the fact that we're Catholic, but we're also always open to discussion
Yeah, we're
with
not
other
ashamed of you
religious
for not
points of
being one
view.
or whatever.
I mean, I've read all kinds of different religious texts and philosophical texts and everything because the whole subject interests me. And it all points to God in one way, shape, or form, right? So, or if you're an atheist, we love to talk to you too.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to try and be pushy and be like, oh man, you're going to go to hell or something. We're not gonna, no.
Not a
We
perspective.
love you.
Yeah.
We want to help you. We want to do what we can to foster good relationship, good discussions, everything like that. And we're interested to hear your point of view for sure. And we're not going to judge you either. And we hope you don't judge us.
Yeah. That'd be nice. But if you do,
Mm-hmm.
what's
all
that
right.
to me?
That's all good.
It's all good.
He's all good.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, thank you so much for this topic. It was written beautifully, and we hope that it helped in one way or another. Sometimes it's just talking about it. It gives a sense of like relatability and relief, even if nothing is solved or helped. So we hope that we at least encountered you on that level, and we understand it's hard. And so thank you so much for sharing, and we love you. Yep. But I recognize we've got not much time left. We've got 2 minutes till 10:30. But
There would be
I'm
a really
requesting.
seasonal topic.
But I'm being requested to do another topic, and so
Yeah.
let's do
You
it.
have the time. Is that
If
Hey,
you guys want to go to bed, you can go
this
to
is
bed.
this you totally can. But this is
Yeah.
America where we are, and we have Thanksgiving tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
and so I'm
Don't worry
sleeping
about it.
in.
In Saule, are you good to stay? A soaking pillow? I love that. Is Saule still here?
Sally's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Saule, this is for
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
buddy. Thanks for your patronage. Thanks for being like.
I thought you would
Awesome.
say patience.
Oh, thanks for being patient. I just meant like, dude, Saule, you're like super supportive, and we appreciate you so much for showing up for all the shows, and we just love you. You're great to be around too. It's great to have you.
You are awesome.
You were writing
You're writing
another
another topic?
Well, this one is
Sweet.
seasonal, right? So like it's important.
It's
date?
really on point for considering that tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. It's not Thanksgiving for everybody, but it's Thanksgiving for us Americans.
Yes.
So we're gonna do a topic.
And it's for giving thanks.
Perfect. All right. Well, if you don't want to stick around, if it's getting late, feel free to go, guys. And we're gonna stop you. So yeah, love
Or
you
if
all.
it's getting late and you feel like sticking around, stick around.
Stick around. Don't worry about
If it's getting late and you don't feel like it, you can always watch it later if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can. It will be here.
If it's getting late and you're gonna get in trouble for staying up, stick around. We don't care. I'm just kidding. We do care. Don't get in trouble. We don't care.
Bad example.
I'm totally kidding. Anyways. Oh, yeah. You don't have links.
Thanksgiving?
Um, what are you guys celebrating? Oh, wait, it's called Thanksgiving. That's what we're
Yep, it's
celebrating.
called Thanksgiving. It's basically it's supposedly initiated by the Pilgrims who first came to
America.
America. Yeah, they're not the first people who came to America, but
Mm-mm.
but that's kind of like they came over on the Mayflower, blah 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 blah. They did all this stuff, right? And then they had this feast at harvest time or after harvest time, right? Because they had gotten along with the Native Americans and the Native Americans had helped them and they had, created and they had this harvest and they had survived and they were thankful. And so they killed a turkey and they stuffed it, the stuffing, and they had mashed potatoes. And somewhere along the line, they poisoned the whole thing with the can-shaped cranberry sauce, which is disgusting.
They didn't do that at the original Thanksgiving. Also,
The
cranberry
main
sauce is
point
really
of
good if
it
it's
is
homemade.
giving thanks. Thanks for the harvest that they have received. Thanks for all the blessings they have received, basically,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
food and in each other and in having good
Mhm.
relationships
Mhm.
and stuff.
Yep, so they were thankful.
Yes.
They were thankful, and they're
Random
like,
level of
"Let's have a
physics in the
meal together."
universe. So it's the first. So it's the harvest festival. Yeah,
It's
it
a
actually
harvest
it's a
festival.
harvest festival.
Mhm,
Yeah, in a way
mhm,
it is. Though it's pretty late into the year, right? Where winter's coming, it's gonna be the last harvest, basically. It's kind of
mhm.
festival it is, and so we're
Yeah.
giving thanks for the year, really, because at after this point, where they had settled, it was gonna be snowing, and there isn't gonna be much to harvest. So yeah, I like that. I like that perspective. Also, just as a quick note, you know what? No, it doesn't matter. We're gonna go on with the topic.
You're gonna talk about the cranberry can?
No, I was gonna talk about the Native Americans and
You're
how
slack
society
about
thinks that we attacked them, um, and all that crazy stuff. Um, and yeah, but we won't go there. We'll go there if it requires in the topic.
man, oh man, oh man.
Let's
Yeah,
focus on the
yeah.
uh,
Let's focus on the topic. That's what I was saying.
thankfulness,
Mm-hmm.
the gratefulness.
Yes, let's focus on the topic and not the rewriting of history.
Yes, let's not focus on the rewriting of history. Thanks, guys. You got it.
All
That's all I care about. Um, let's get the past right. Okay. Anyways, the topic is on the screen, Princess. Whenever you are ready, you can go.
How to be thankful. Not how and when to say thank you. Rather, how do you mean it when you do say thank you? This topic applies to all situations of thankfulness. But the one that made me want to submit this topic is being thankful while saying grace. Thanking God for providing food and other good things for us in life. I often say grace twice or three times, focusing harder each time. It's not meant to be a ritual that we just go through the motions with. I really try to mean it when I say those things to God. But that also got me to start focusing on my thankfulness in other situations. When someone does something for me, even as simple as getting me a pen to write something down with, I struggle to really mean it when I say thank you. So I ask you, how can I become more genuinely thankful? Thank you from Saule.
Thank you. I love the end.
Thank you.
Thank you. Um, this is a great topic. I think that thankfulness in life is an incredible blessing. Just even outside of religious factor, to have a thankful perspective on life is a huge blessing to your life because it does so many good things for you. Because it gives you a good outlook. It makes your relationships better. It gives you a perspective of life that isn't self-centered or making you think you have done it all yourself. Um, it does so much, and one of the best tools for avoiding depression. Now, it's not like all kinds, but just a general sense is having a thankful attitude because it does give you that. It makes your world look better, and it's a lot easier to live stress-free in a world that looks nice. Even if the world is the same, having a thankful outlook will change the way you think about the world. If you think the world is crappy, then it's gonna feel like crap living in it. That's like a
Mm.
statement I've said. It is just so true. How you look at the world is how you're gonna feel inside of it. And if you look at the world like it's crap, you're gonna feel like crap. But if you look at the world
Mhm.
like it's full of things to be thankful for, you're gonna be a thankful person. You're gonna be generally more happy. Um, and that's great. That's great. So how do we get that? How do we become more thankful, um and how do we mean it when we say it? I think these are great things, great questions, really important ones, that can lead us down a great road, of living well. So I'm gonna give it over to Joe, and see how he approaches this.
Hmm. I approach it by deferring to Ryan.
Hi guys, my name is Ryan Seawald, and I'm here to do a show with you called Don't Worry Wednesday. On my show today, we are addressing the topic of being thankful. Okay, I'm gonna defer back to Joe.
Oh, okay. You're awesome, Ryan.
You too.
And Saule, you're awesome. I want to also reiterate what Ryan was saying. Thank you so much for all your support. And like this is a topic that you were at most of the Double Cup of Joe shows when we did those a few years ago. So you knew our morning routine, man. It was, hey, first step is what are you thankful for? And so we would talk about it. And sometimes it can be just as simple as like, hey, I'm thankful for chocolate pudding, or I'm thankful for bendy straws, or whatever, right?
Or
Like you can
modern
just be
plumbing.
thankful for simple stuff. Modern plumbing is a big thing. Indoor electricity is a good thing too. And furnaces.
Oh yeah.
We can be thankful for furnaces. I mean, who would have thought you could enclose a fire
Right?
in a thing and have it be like clean and warm and everything? Like, whoa.
Oh
These
wow.
things that people have invented. I'm thankful for people inventing things. It's funny you talk about mentioning saying grace before meals. There's this classic, Catholic saying grace, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty. Through Christ our Lord, amen. And that's it, right? Now I got to hang out with Princess and she switched it.
Oh no.
She changed it. And I never got it, man. I tried. To, we had a few meals together and we'd say grace. And I'm like, she's Catholic, we're going to do
I'm
this, it's going
sorry,
to be the
Joe.
You're totally fine. It was really awesome. But, and it was appropriate. The changes she made were appropriate. And, there are sometimes I forget to pray before my meals. So I'm like, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts that I am currently receiving from thy bounty, or that I just received from thy
Yeah.
bounty.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Totally been down there.
but sometimes, I mean, I will admit, I do that morning routine every day where I say what I'm thankful for, what I'm looking forward to, what I'm going to do today to move my life forward or to move toward what I'm looking forward to. And it's hard to be sincere sometimes. I'm with you, man. Especially, I mean, I know your mentality. I know you're an engineering student, so I know you're detail oriented. I know you're task oriented. I know these things, and I know I share that same mindset with you in a lot of ways. And it can be hard. It can feel like we're just going through the motions because you know what? Because right now, my life stinks. And right now, all this other stuff stinks. And you know what? I'm thankful that it's all going to be over someday. Like, so how do we then foster this feeling of gratitude? Because Ryan said it right. When we have more gratitude, we feel better. When we genuinely are thankful, we feel better. And sometimes it might take a while for us to think and for us to get past the surface and for us to really dig in. Okay, what kinds of things am I thankful for? And you might have to start off with the simple things. I'm thankful for corn chips.
Hmm.
I love them. They're wonderful. I'm thankful for ramen noodles. And I don't even cook them anymore.
That's right.
I just get the ramen noodle brick, man, and I just chomp away.
Like chips.
Yep, they're wonderful. And now, don't do that with like regular spaghetti noodles. You'll break your teeth. But ramen noodles, they crumble apart pretty good.
Mm.
But yeah, spaghetti noodles and stuff like that, super hard, and you could damage your teeth. So there's disclaimer. Anyway, I'm thankful for chicken because it tastes good. Thankful for peanut butter because it tastes good. Thankful for coffee because it tastes good and it keeps me awake. And we can warm ourselves up with those simple things, right? These things that we maybe take for granted. But if we didn't have them, holy cow, our life sure would look different and feel different, and it'd be hard. So, I don't know. I mean, how do you foster that? I think you just start by trying to make it a habit. And when things are hard, and when things are bleak, and when things are tough, and when, you're focused on a problem, because that's what problem solvers do. We focus on problems. And we try to get through them. And sometimes you're faced with just a plethora of problems, and you have to sort through them and focus on one at a time and try and get through each individual one. And it can be really, really tough. And it can be really, really discouraging when everything around you is hard. I know you've been there before. I know, like, hey, we get hit with stress. And when we've got a bunch of that swirling around us, it's really hard to feel good about anything. But we can start by giving ourselves a little mental break and saying, you know what? I'm thankful for LEDs. They're cool. And not just because they light up, but because they actually impact the sound of the distortion of a guitar. Did you know that? I learned that from Steve, my buddy Steve, who got into modding. He started modifying all of his guitar pedals and all this kind of stuff. And it was really cool. And he's like, you know what? I noticed that different color LEDs, when you wire them into the circuit, it changes the tone quality of the distortion of the pedal of the guitar, right? And so he started like putting all these different LEDs and things and like it. You can come up with some really cool sounds. I'm thankful for my mushroom forest behind me. This is, little things. Thankful for my friends. And when you start down that path, eventually you'll hit on something that starts to tug at your heart. Like right now, when I just said I'm thankful for my friends, that one hit a little bit deeper. Because I love my friends. And they help me feel loved as well. But then I will warn you, you go too far down this path and you're going to start putting soaking pillow before Saule in your
Nice.
name. Because seriously, like as you start to really get into it, you can get emotional. And that's okay. Maybe that's where you need to be. But to experience gratitude at that depth of a level, I would say it's a lot like conversation. You look at a conversation, right? Do you start off a conversation going deep into the matter and like deep into the heart of things? No. You warm up. Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. What you up to? Oh, not much. This and that and the other thing. And oh, yeah, how's the weather over where you're at? Oh man, it's crazy terrible. We got snowstorms and blah blah blah. It's pretty, but man, oh man, I hate driving in it. And da 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 da. Da. And then before, as you continue along the path, the progression of this conversation, you get into deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper topics, and then you're really touching on the heart of things. And so I would recommend treat it like that. If you're having trouble feeling gratitude, feeling that thankfulness in your heart, start small. I'm thankful for chopsticks because I can look at them at the Chinese restaurant and I can pass right by them and use a fork.
That's all you're thankful for, them. I see.
I'm thankful for fried green beans. Fantastic. I'm thankful for cream of mushroom soup because I can chuck it at the window.
Okay. Some of these sound rather insincere. I think
yes. But yeah, start small. And then build, and then deepen, and then have this conversation with yourself. What am I thankful for? And then continue on. And you know what? Eventually you'll find something that starts to tug at your heartstrings. And then if you keep going down that path, you're going to start sobbing and weeping into your pillow. And that's going to be okay. Because you're going to realize, you know what? There is stuff that's important to you. And that's good. So anyway, that's kind of what I have. I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan and let him talk about how he has Thanksgiving. He's like the master at this. Yeah,
I don't know if
see?
I'm
And he's
the
the
master.
master at making that face. Oh, Ryan.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This show where we talk about thankful. So here's the thing. I really like what Joe said. I'm gonna touch on a different side of it. I think in order to really be thankful, I think you have to start swimming deeper down into the depths of, how do I describe this without sounding almost edgy? Sometimes it's a lot easier, or it's a lot more meaningful when you're giving thanks from a position of complete humility, of complete lack of control, right? And we talked about control earlier, and that we don't have much. But the more you recognize that you don't deserve something or shouldn't have it, but at the same time are accepting it, I think the more profound your thankfulness is. Does that make sense? I think all of those ingredients matter. Because if you are in a position where you feel like you don't deserve it, and you don't accept it, your thankfulness for it won't be honest, sincere, it won't be real, it won't be there, right? Because when you don't feel like you deserve something and you get it anyways, you don't tend to be thankful for it. If you're not accepting of it, right? If your emotion towards it is like, oh, I don't deserve it, I shouldn't have it, and it just turns me off inside. It just like makes me feel gross and icky and no, right? It's hard to be thankful. And at the same time, if you go the opposite direction where you are feeling like you deserved it and you got it anyways, right? Like you earned it, like you achieved it. You don't tend to have a deep, sincere thankfulness because who do you have to thank but yourself? Is kind of the perspective. So you have to find the middle ground of humility, which is to recognize the value of yourself, recognize the value of the person giving it, right? Recognizing that they didn't have to give it to you. It could be anything in the world. It could be dirt that you stand upon, or the rocks you've built your house on, or the foundation that it's secure, right? It can be anything, but you recognize the value of yourself and what you haven't achieved by your own good. Or you can even be thankful for your own good. But regardless, what you haven't achieved by your own good. And recognizing that in all humility. And all humility. And I mean humility, not selflessness. Right? Because I already just addressed the two extremes. Selfishness, or being egotistical, or having a high ego, inflated ego, or on the other end, being selfless, having an inaccurate depiction of your own value, where you put yourself so far down that you're just wrong about yourself, right? And you hurt yourself, and that's not good. And you hurt others, by the way. When you're selfless, you hurt others around you. You recognize it. And I'm sorry that's really harsh to some people, but it's true. If you're being selfless, and you're probably hurting people around you. So my point is, you want to be humble. Humility isn't perfect. Humility is a perfect evaluation and acting upon value. The value of understanding the value of everything around you and acting upon it correctly based on that value. That's perfect humility. And I think when you receive something in that state, your thankfulness is the most sincere. Because you have both the understanding of the value that you don't get this good on your own and you don't deserve it, tied along with the ability to accept it and go, I appreciate this, and they want this for me, therefore I shall have it. It's their want for me to have this that makes me want it for them and for me. And also, I'm allowed to have good things, right? You need all of these things to give a sincere thanks. And so what I would say is, if you want to be sincere in your thankfulness, if you want to be truly thankful for everything, having self-value is important. But putting yourself too high up is going to hurt you. Putting yourself too far down is going to hurt you. You got to have a balanced perspective of yourself within the world. So humility. I think that's really where true, deep thanks comes from. You look at the all-powerful God. You were mentioning, you said, thanking God for providing food and other goods. So you look at God and you go, wow, I don't deserve for him to do anything to me. He's all powerful. He's perfect. He's incredible. He created all of this in a flash. And he sustains all of it by thinking of it. How crazy. We're just nothing. We're just specks of dust. Like, we shouldn't matter at all. But he did it. And therefore it was meant to be. So even though while we can retain that sense of like, oh, I'm so undeserving. I don't deserve this, God. Take it away. We don't have to say take it away. Why? Because he gave it to us. And he knows what's best. And he's going to do the right things, right? And so if he thinks we should get it, then we certainly should get it, right?
And he'll give it to you.
And he'll
I'll
give
tell
it to
you
you.
what.
Yeah, that's right, buddy. Spanking on the butt.
Spanking on the butt.
Yeah, that's right. So being thankful to God is recognizing the insanity of the power of God. And by the way, I actually mean literal insanity, because his existence goes outside of reason. Like, it's not irrational or unreasonable to think that he's real, but more so, he's not confined to reality as we see it, right? He's not confined to physical realm, and so, or the stretches of time. And so therefore he shaped logic, and we just abide by it, right? And so something that powerful, of course you're just a speck of dust. Of course you are. Recognizing that is important, but then recognizing how much love he pours into us on top of that just makes it so much more meaningful, right? And so when you come to thank God for the food, recognize the love of God, I think. Recognize the power, of course, that you didn't need to have this, all of these things. And then recognize that it was given to you out of love. And that you don't want to turn it down because it is love, right? The best thing you can do in this world is to cultivate love, is to expand love, to allow love to exist more fully in the world. That would solve so many problems, okay? Period. You know that it would. The more love that there is, the better. Now, I'm not talking about hippie love. I'm talking about real love, okay? So the more we can accept that, the greater things are. And so when you are experiencing something to be thankful for, think of that love. Allow that love to be in your life. Don't turn away from it. Don't turn it down. Someone compliments you, sometimes it can be really hard to accept it. Sometimes it can be really hard when you know that you're not that great at it, but they compliment you on it anyways. But recognize where that comes from. And you want to multiply love in the world, so it's good to just allow that statement to go through. And to say, no, you can recognize, be like, yeah, I could be better at this. I don't think I deserve this praise. I really don't deserve this praise. But this is coming from a place of love, and I really appreciate that. And so I want to be thankful for this. Recognizing you get what you don't deserve in life is important. Because here's the thing. We don't deserve anything. Everything is given to us. We don't deserve anything. Everything's a gift. We don't deserve it. And you might think, what about my paycheck that I earned? Well, let's start at the beginning. Do you even deserve to be alive? Well, what did you do for your parents when they were feeding you, keeping you alive? And they were changing your diapers, and you were pooping in your pants. What did you do for them? Nothing. You didn't do a thing for them. You might have made them feel good. Sometimes. But you would wake them up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like every night. It's annoying. But they did it. Did you deserve that? No. You in a way, you kind of just deserve to have died, because you were literally not doing anything for anybody. And if we're trying to talk about fairness and deserve, then you don't deserve to be alive, because you shouldn't have been fed because you weren't feeding anybody. You shouldn't be alive because you didn't give life to anybody yet. You didn't give your parents life for them to give it to you. So first of all, right from the get-go, we don't deserve anything. So when we recognize that, of course, we don't deserve anything, but everything is a gift of love, and we want to multiply love in the world, I think that allows for us to start to accept things better. And when we accept things better, we can recognize how much we don't deserve, but we get them. I think then that can spawn a place of thankfulness. Because, my gosh, I look at my life and I go, wow, I don't deserve so many good things that I have. It's crazy. I have so many good things. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's just not. It makes me want to cry. I'm kind of fighting tears right now. Okay? Like, it's not fair. It's almost like not okay. It's not okay that I got all these good things. But oh my gosh, is it lovely. right? And so all I can do is say, throw my hands up and say thanks. I've got nothing I can do. I have nothing I can do except to throw my hands up and say, let it be. Thank you. Right? That's I think for me one of the ultimate feelings of thanks is when you come to a situation, you recognize, oh my gosh, there's so many good things in my life. Friends, a roof over my head, plumbing. No, just food. Like there's so many things. All of which I don't deserve. All of which I have things beyond my means, materials beyond my means that other people don't have. But then again, those people have things I don't have. Even the poorest of the poor, they have things to be thankful for. And in the end, you're like, well, what can I do? I'm at a loss of ability to do anything except for to throw my hands up, say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't do anything. Thank you. Thanks. Like that's all I got. Sorry, but thank you. Thank you so much. And that place, I think, is what you want, what you're looking for. And so sometimes, to be the most thankful, you got to go kind of downwards, deep. And not downwards in like a negative sort of view. Part of it kind of has that edgy negative kind of view of like, you don't deserve it, right? You're not good enough for it, that sort of thing. But that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really lovely thing because it is love that's there. That's not a void. That's something that's filled with love. And so, I hope that's helpful. I hope that made sense. I hope that, you can tell me someday how you feel about all of that. But that's what I got. And so, have a happy thankfulness to all of you. Happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that you all have a wonderful holiday. Joe, I'm going to turn it back over to you, or Princess, if either of you have something you want to add. Okay, Princess doesn't have anything, so Joe.
I don't think I'd ever follow that up.
Okay.
I'll follow it up. I can do that.
Oh, okay. Princess has something she wants to talk about.
Follow it up.
It's yours.
Well, I mean, some of the things is when you're in that moment of, I think you mentioned or somebody mentioned that they were working on the day of Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's at the same time as their family is celebrating it, or if it's like they're working that day and then later they have a celebration or whatever. It's like, yeah, I don't get the day off, and you don't feel thankful for that. Look at it, or try to look at it from the lens of, well, in that moment, what can you be thankful for? Can you be thankful that you have the ability to help others on that day if they're out shopping or whatever? Or maybe you're doing something through work, or maybe, hey, I'm thankful I have a job. Yeah, it might not be that I work on all the days I want, but this helps me to do the things that I want to do, to support the people I want to support, including myself. You know, I'm glad I get to go to my family's Thanksgiving meal for the feast for as much as I can, and it's looking at, rather than trying to look at it from, that sarcastic, there's something that's tough or annoying or whatever. Looking at it, well, take a step back and look, what are you thankful for? What can you be thankful for? And especially maybe towards whatever is being more like, I'm not like that you don't feel thankful for, trying to think of a way that you can be thankful for it. Not that you have to like be totally like, oh yay, look at me, I'm glad I get to work on Thanksgiving. You don't need to be disingenuous by any means, but you can still
I thought he
have
was being
genuine
generous.
thankfulness.
I wasn't sure. That's why I had to ask, because there's definitely scenarios where like I would love to be away from my family on Thanksgiving because they are not great to be around.
Yeah.
But no, anyways, that's
happens.
yours.
Anyway, I mean, it's finding things like that. There was also something in the chat where somebody had asked Flames Gaming, can you please elaborate on how selflessness can hurt others? I'm sure you probably hit some of that, but I don't know if that got
No, I
fully
didn't really fully address
answered
that.
or yeah. So that's just another thing. But I'll turn it over to Joe before I turn it to that in case Joe has anything he wants to say to follow me up.
Mhm.
It's okay if you don't. You can just turn it back over to Rye.
I like
But
that.
Yeah,
Good strategy.
I want to hear Ryan expound on this selflessness hurting people thing.
Okay, that's totally fine. We can do that. um, uh, oh no.
Because
Okay,
I know it's true, but
it's so
he's
true.
so good at unpacking it.
I'll
Mhm.
do my best to unpack it. I mean, not the perfect. Yeah, whatever. I love you guys.
Unpack it like a suitcase
Oh
when you get
yeah.
home.
When I get home, yeah, not when you get to your hotel, because generally when you get to like hotel, you just like leave everything in there.
You do. You just open it
Yeah,
and
you
you dig
just
out of it.
yeah. Yeah, they put dressers in hotel rooms for no one to use them. Because like you don't want
Or
to
they
risk.
put Gideon's Bible in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. A lot of them. Not all of
Yeah.
them, but a lot of them. Anyways,
It could. You know what? You're right, so that could be its own topic.
yeah. Honestly, yeah, that could very
But
well be its own topic.
do you have a summary though?
Yeah, I can give one. So here's the thing. Obviously, when you hurt yourself, you hurt others around you because you're not being the best you can be, right? People around you notice when you don't like yourself. Okay? People around you notice when you are right. We're talking about selflessness. We're not talking about giving. We're not talking about being a giving person. We're not talking about charity. Charity is a good balance. Humility, good balance. But selflessness is when you put yourself too far down and others too far high. Okay? And so what happens when you do that is you, first of all, you take away your ability to give. Right? Because now you've lowered yourself to a low standard. You don't hold yourself to a high standard in your ability to be able to give your best. What you're giving people is this something that's low value because you have a low value experience of yourself, right? You think that you're low value, right? And so what are you giving to others? Is that what you're giving to others? This piece of crap? Like, well, that's all I am, as a piece of crap. No, you are not. You're much better. When you have a low like not just low self-esteem, but when you devalue yourself, you don't put time into things you value. And so you don't work on making yourself a good gift. You make yourself an okay gift, right? And so when you give to others, your gift isn't as good as it could be. That's not hurting people. That's just limiting your ability to give. How you hurt people when you're selfless is one, they care about you and they feel bad just immediately. Like that's first off, right off the bat. When you meet someone who has a low self-esteem, they have a low self-value, and they're selfless. They're always giving to people, and they don't. And you look at them, and you can clearly see they don't value themselves. It's nice that they give to others. It's nice that they give, but you look at them, and you feel bad for them, and that it's hard. It's hard because when you try to help that person, they don't want it. They think you're investing in something that has no value. When you look at that person and you want to be with that person, there are walls there that have been generated because of this nature of imbalance of value perspectives. Like you try to approach someone who has a low self-esteem, or maybe not even I mean, it's a good way to say a low self-esteem, but someone who's selfless, right? When you try to approach someone on a really deep level who's selfless, you end up encountering really weird walls that shouldn't be there. Some of it is like, hey, don't talk to me about these type of topics. Some generate in anxious feelings. Some of them generate in all sorts of different things. But they cause a blockade in the relationship that doesn't allow it to form correctly, and that's damaging to both parties. It's this disunity, and it's like trying to have a relationship with someone who wants you to hate them. Really weird, but that's kind of how it
Mm.
is, and it's not good, right? And there's, I mean, obviously, I think this is better to have a whole topic about, because then we can really get into it. But one last way, perhaps before ending it, that you can hurt others by being selfless is you end up applying yourself to things where you shouldn't be, and you don't have the perspective to recognize it. Because, and I hate to say this because it sounds so mean, but people who are selfless can often find themselves putting themselves in scenarios trying to help other people, and instead they end up dragging everybody down because of their attitude, because of their self-worth, because of the way that they approach problems and aren't able to give fully to them, or unable to recognize this feeling of when they're getting in the way, because they always feel like they're in the way. So they don't know when they're actually in the way. And so they just ignore that feeling. There's a lot of things that can happen. There's a lot of different directions that this selflessness can create bad problems for other people. But I think one of the most obvious ones for all of us is when we meet someone who is selfless and they have no self-worth, and we run into them and we just go, how do I help this person? It hurts dealing with them because they're hurting, and they won't let it just hurts because you have this compassion and this mercy and this feeling of sorrow for them. Anyways, I hope that touches on topic. Flaming, you're the one that asked the question, you're gonna go, so I'm gonna cut it off there and we can have another topic for another day. But yeah, I hope that was good and helpful and cool.
It was good, helpful, and cool, all of the above.
Cool. Sorry, impromptu topic, but it was addressed to me, so I figured I had to cover it. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Good job, Ryan.
Thanks. But yeah, honestly, I think we're done with the show then. Yeah, we carried on for an extra almost 40 minutes, so that's pretty good.
That's good. That's good. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody who celebrates Thanksgiving, and happy not Thanksgiving to the
and
rest
even if
of
you don't, you can celebrate with us anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We're happy to have you celebrate Thanksgiving with us, even if you don't normally celebrate it.
Yeah.
We say Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, it's an American holiday, but it has nothing to do with America, honestly. Just celebrate it in other countries too, please. We're just giving thanks. Be thankful. It's a good holiday. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good holiday.
Be thankful. Eat some food with some people that you love.
That's right. Eat food with people that you love. That's good.
And that can be you.
Yeah, and that can be yourself. That's a great point, Princess.
As Ryan just said, so, poignantly, why it's important to love yourself.
Yep.
So
when you drag yourself down and other
yourself.
people rely on you. I mean, that's a great point. When you drag yourself down and other people, and you've put other people in a position where they're relying on you, right? Who are you dragging down with yourself, right? Because you're trying to be selfless and help everybody, but now you're making them relying on you, who you're just dragging yourself down. So you're gonna drag everybody down with you. It's not good. It's not a good road. It's not a good path. So yeah, no, you gotta love yourself, and I know that's hard, and it's the message everybody's saying in society, right? You love yourself, but I mean, we do need that.
Yep. We don't need the kind of we're gonna go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of rabbit holes.
The kind of self-love that society promotes is not really self-love.
That's fair.
In a lot of cases.
But thank you all for sticking with us for so long.
Yeah,
a little longer, but
so
we appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you for stopping us, Princess.
Yeah.
Before we went down another rabbit
holes. Yeah, these rabbit holes, they keep on going. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us for another Don't Worry Wednesday, and we hope that you will join us for the next one. And we will be excited to see you. Yeah, Okay. I was trying to figure out, am I going to be here next Wednesday? Yes, I am. The following 2 ones after that, I don't think I will be. But that's we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there,
and
we'll be there when it's here. It'll
yeah,
be here when it's there, and
you'll
there. It'll be there when it's here.
And everywhere. Thank you, everyone.
Everywhere.
we'll get there with English somehow.
Yes, it's gonna be great.
All right. Well,
We love you guys.
we love you. Yes. Bye bye, guys. Peace. Enjoy the rest of your life.